In the gritty world of Top Boy at the show's core, it revolves around two main characters, Sully and Dushane, whose lives are deeply intertwined in the London criminal world. The world that they live in is often full of violence, desperation, revenge, and betrayal. But from the beginning, it was pretty clear that both of their journeys would end up in one of two ways, either death or jail. So in this video, we are going to be breaking down the ending of Top Boy with some overall thoughts and some theories around this mystery ending around who this is, because I do have a funny feeling it was Jack. So stick with the video till the end. So a spoiler warning is now in effect for the final season of Top Boy, and I will be bringing a full season breakdown over the next coming week. The final episode runs it back to the theme of Top Boy: violence, revenge, and betrayal. Riots over Summer House was out of control. The estate was going up in flames as we see Isaac Lateef coming to see Dushane. This was who Wilson recommended using to escape the country. Unfortunately, he needed a passport and a whole lot of cash. At this moment in time, Dushane sat in his mother's home and he was left all on his own. His relationships in the streets had deteriorated. His relationship with Shelley was over, and he also shrugged off any goodbyes. He said he had nobody to say goodbye to. A big fall for someone who at the end of season 2 had a family and was also thinking about early retirement with a £15 million investment. Now, Isaac was in no mood to play games. He told Dushane not to contact him unless he has the cash, but he did give him some free piece of advice. Being on the run is fucking expensive. Fortunately for him, he still did have someone who cared about him. Shelley came to give him his passport and a small amount of cash. Over the course of the last 2 episodes, Sully and Dushane had a hunch something didn't quite sit right with Kieran. Once Sully had got some answers from Jack, he rang Kieran to tell him he wanted to be there during the exchange. An exchange that Bex had a really bad feeling around because she knew the consequences of the game Jack was in. There was no such things as a free pass in this game, not when it comes to Sully. So this is something I do think we should keep in the back of our minds as we go through the ending of Top Boy. Jack knew for as long as Sully was alive, she ran the risk of being on the end of his gun. Now at this moment in time, with the riots in Summer House and the streets becoming a war zone between the public and police, Stefan was kept indoors, isolated from the rest of the world. He ignores messages from Erin and contemplates his next move, with a gun that Jamie once gave to Sai, which was now in the hands of Stefan. As Kieran met with Sully, he tries to deflect the conversation to the chaos in Summer House, but Sully wanted to hear the truth from Kieran's mouth. He was aggravated because Kieran sent him down a wild goose chase, first over the fields where he almost blew Sai's brains out, and around London. At this moment in time, Kieran was a defeated man. He knew what comes next when it comes to a man like Sully, and so he pleaded with him. Unfortunately, it was game over for Kieran. With a handover of product from Jack, Dushane and Sully were going to be present at the community centre at 8 PM, but he came up behind Jack and beats her down and takes a bag of drugs for himself. Now this looks like a weird coincidence for Sully as he comes face to face with Jack in the community centre. She was jumped outside just before she could carry out the exchange, and Sully is fuming. He also tells her that Kieran was done, which sends Jack on a mission to find out whether that was true. And so maybe in hindsight, Kieran was better off being deported by the Home Office and going to Rwanda after all. Now with the bags of product, Dushane has only one play left, Isaac Lateef. He tells him that he can offer him 15 kilos of product, which was counter-offered with 20. And did Dushane have a choice at this moment in time? He had nobody else to turn to, and Isaac was his last hope. So they agree a deal and he sends his 2 guys to help Dushane get out of Summer House, but they were going to be 1 hour, which ended up being the longest 1 hour of his life. Now with Summer House up in flames, Sully gave everybody strict orders to do what needs to be done if they see Dushane. He wanted the bags back at any cost. For Sully himself, he starts at Dushane's mom's house with Junior. Across the estate, Dushane's watching him and heads in the other direction where he comes across brothers, Samzi and Romando. And we know what happens when 2 people are about to draw their gun. Unfortunately for Bradders, he was someone who got caught in this game between Dushane and Sully. Now Dushane does eventually meet up with Isaac's guys, but just before they could make their escape, Sully and Junior arrive on the scene and we see a shootout between them. Junior gets caught, but Sully is able to take both of Isaac's men out. He eventually catches up with Dushane, and just before he could climb over the fence, Sully puts a bullet in his brother. Dushane lies here in a pool of blood, and with both of them on either side of the fence, they talk about survival. Dushane whimpers and wheezes, and he tells Sully that he was never going to go back to prison. Unfortunately, there was only ever going to be one other outcome then, death. But before Dushane does die, they clash on their partnership, and that runs all the way back to the original Top Boy. Dushane already saw himself as the big brother, the main man, and all Sully wanted was respect. Now as Dushane began to bleed out, he said this game doesn't come without the consequence of death. Although Sully was someone who acknowledged where they grew up and where they came from. If they weren't monsters, then they were food, and he could never be food. For Sully, it was clear he was going to do what it took to survive. and whoever came in his way, he had no hesitation in pulling that trigger, even if it was his own brother, Dushane. As it began to dawn on Sully that Dushane was now dead, he climbs over and takes the bags, ready to live another day. The entire summer house had calmed down and we saw Steph sitting on a bench of his own. His parents were dead and so was Jamie. Aaron, his older brother, was in Leeds studying marketing. He reminisces about the good times of him playing FIFA, or Jamie telling him and Aaron who's cooking and who's cleaning, Aaron telling him to shut up because he's studying for his exams. It was an emotional moment for Stefan, but also where he realized he had a choice to make. Was he going to avenge his brother's death and end up going down the same path? Meanwhile, Sully went to go see his daughter for the very last time, and I think we all knew what was coming when he told her that he loves her. This was the last time he was going to see his daughter. As he walks away, we saw a hooded figure in the back. It was the moment we all waited for, Stefan and Sully coming face to face. Throughout season 3, Sully and Steph did see each other a few times, but Steph kept the identity of Jamie's killer hidden from the police and from those who asked him. That was until he did open up to Sai. Now the pair were at a standoff, and at this moment in time, Sully knew his time was up, but he was also okay with it because Steph had to do what he had to do. But before Steph makes his decision, Sully tells him he's empty, he's lost that feeling a long time ago, and surprisingly to many of us, Steph told him he wasn't worth it. He drops his gun and walks away. Now as he gets back to his car, a hooded figure appears and pulls the trigger on Sully. The identity of the killer is intentionally left a mystery, but based on the walk after, I do believe this was Jack. Now this all goes back to Jack not having a free pass. She knew the world that she lived in and what Sully was capable of. She knew what he did to Driss, what Jamie did to Kit, and then who killed Jamie. Jack also had a new responsibility. After Lauren's death meant her and Bex were the sole carers of Lauren's baby. For her to look after him, she had to get rid of one major loose end that would have killed her if she didn't kill him. I also feel Jack wanted to avenge Kieran's death. The moment she learned about Kieran, she couldn't believe it. She searched far and wide, but she knew deep down what Sully had done. There was also the fact that she was leaning away from the game. She was done selling drugs that took her sister away and destroying their community, hence why she took the 2 bags of food. But for her to fully escape the game, Sully had to go. There was no way around it. I also get the sense that the walk after the trigger was pulled was a very Jack-like walk. This was definitely her signature walk, and so for me, it was Jack who pulled that trigger. Now with that being said, my full season breakdown will come in the next week or so, which does give time to everybody to catch up and get up to speed. Now in the meantime, drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you agree it was Jack who pulled the trigger on Sully? And do you also agree with the way they ended Top Boy? Or do you think they kind of rushed this final season? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section because I am intrigued to see what the viewer's perspective is. I do feel like they should have had a few more episodes just to flush the storylines out of all the characters, potentially have Liverpool come back to avenge Curtis's death, have the Irish play a bigger role, find out what happened to Ruben and so much more. But in the meantime, drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section and I will be back with a full season breakdown in the next week. But as always, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you next time.